Welcome. Veschanan, Moshe's prayer. He wanted to enter the Holy Land and be part of it. Joshua, likened to the moon, was intended to do that, beginning the story of the Jewish people. Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses, wanted to cut to the chase and make it so that divinity would be revealed without having to do any effort whatsoever. That's a very advanced level. Moshe wanted his power to be given over to everybody. So everyone is rooted in that kind of soul that is described as being sourced in Anechi Misha Anechi. I am who I am. So the most descriptive reference God makes to himself. And all of us having that as the origin of our soul, and how to express that and live that as promised, that this request, this prayer that Moshe had, will be fulfilled, and everybody will achieve the level that's described as matnas chinam, a free gift. That should be the title of this, a free gift, a matnas chinam. As the Jewish people complained, or the group that gathered with them, they wanted to serve Hashem chinam mina mitzvahs, without any obligation whatsoever. Welcome. But this is actually a level that will be attained when God says, okay, you put in effort for thousands of years, and now I'm going to show my appreciation for that. It's going to be a gift that we have vision. So Moshe Rabbeinu's request was fulfilled, but only in hearing. Vision, so that we will actually be able to have a first-hand experience, is our inheritance. And that will be revealed in the times of the redemption. The Alter Rebbe writes here in Parshas Veschanan. V'zeu Veschanan el Hashem. So that's what Moshe Rabbeinu is said to have been doing when he was praying Veschanan. The word Chanan is a matnas chinam, asking for a free gift, that all the Jewish people should be blessed with the vision that he had. Vision is da'as. We were talking about a der deya, a generation that had the capacity to really do something. We're supposed to be, by the way, an incarnation of that generation. But they were called a der deya. Yet still they didn't have what Moshe had, that he conversed with Hashem face to face. Moshe wants to bestow that, so he looks upon the land, as we learned yesterday, and indicating the land represents the Knesset Yisrael, we said, the Jewish people, the soul of every Jew, and how it's connected there. He wanted to advance that so that they would be lit on their own, much like Aaron, as we spoke about in Parshas Ba'aleischa at length. But he only accomplished so much as it should be something that they heard about, that it's something that you can know what to do, but have to apply it and make it work. We can only do so much to prepare ourselves for that. 49 steps along the way. The 50th is always a gift. The Shar Hanun. That is the vision that here we're going to see is connected with Da'as. And that's the promise of redemption, is that Moshe's prayer to go into the land with them, meaning that bringing his Da'as into every single Jewish soul, that was something that is, if it was heard, so they had a path, but to succeed in that path is the promise of the redemption. Well, it will be not something that's just heard about. God was a great thing on Mount Sinai, but something that is accessible to everybody, like a vision is before you, not something that you just heard about. And how you get there. So, to just jump around a bit, it says V'zeu lashon achazeh. That's what it means. I will see a vision. V'lechen ein ze nikra b'shem emunah. When you have a vision, it's no longer faith. I've heard about things. I believe in things. But do I experience them? That's vision. You have faith, and then you have experience, which is vision and da'as. B'lashon HaKodesh ela b'shem da'as. So vision is not faith. Faith-based religion has inspired us for generations because times were so difficult. No one had the opportunity to devote themselves to working on their soul. The soul had been forgotten. We lost soul. Da'as is the ability to be present. This is probably the biggest disaster for Da'as in history, just the fact that we have the ability to do this all day. Or if you're a kid, this. So Da'as is under attack. That is simply to draw our attention to a mission to have Da'as. We're supposed to live with the redemption in the sense that what is the redemption? It is Da'as, presence. It's the entire world's occupation will be for nothing more than to know Hashem, as Rambam writes. L'da'as es Hashem bilvad. It's not like you're going to give up on your hobbies. My father likes to collect stamps and comics. That is not going to be lost. That will be completely lit with divine inspiration. Not a matter of changing, but simply being present in what you are already and using that with one singular purpose to celebrate Hashem in everything you do. So what is das? The word means hakara v'hargasha. Usually we ascribe connection to das. The Adam yada, he knew his wife Chava. Adam and Eve. Das is usually said as to be a connection. So here we're saying that connection is a hakara, a recognition, vargasha, and a feeling, and also das hu hamakas halev. It's the application of the heart in a very directed way. Shelo yasiach daitim is that not to leave presence, to stay focused and keep it alive. Simply being driven by simply focusing on that. It's like when you're windsurfing, you don't think about anything else in the world because elsewise you're going flying with the sunglasses too. V'yela the fun of Talmid, so that it could be constant recognition and something that you remember. Shelo yishkach v'yisur melivai, that it should never be forgotten and left from his heart. So if you really loved your child, you are with them in everything that they do. And they know that that's usually represented in, if you come to them, then if they come to you, you are there for them. So the presence is very relevant to relationships. Here we're talking about primarily our relationship with Hashem, which is expressed through prayer. Prayer is the opportunity to establish our ability to be present in things and recognizing their divine purpose. So God gives you a lot of good things. You thank Hashem for that, and you feel that connection. You express your love for Hashem. The success of that is called das. It's a vision. It's a vision because you're present. You can't gaze into someone's eyes and be a zombie. Masha'en can hear her, and this is fascinating because it brings in Dibur, we'll see. But when it comes to thought, the Alma, la avid midi, fantasizing about something good and actually doing the thing is completely different. Fantasizing about, yes, it would be nice if I ever felt Hashem in my life or in my heart. And then saying, wow, I feel Hashem in my heart, are different worlds. But we're going to see that das is related to speech here. Because the example we give is the way thought is not enough. For example, when you're saying Birkas Hamazon, if you're thanking Hashem for your food, you don't want an idea of food, and that's not going to really sit well. so you actually express it. If you just think about gratitude for Hashem after a meal, it's not considered fulfilling the biblical obligation to thank Hashem for sating you with bread. And we say, Hear her love kedibur dami. Thought does not resemble speech. So speech here becomes synonymous with das and vision. Speech and vision. Abracadabra. Right? Isn't that the point there? I create through my speech. Abracadabra. Okay, now the point of the success of this, you manage to have das, and then you get shone back upon with das elyon. You reach something that transcends das, and this has always confused me. So that's called chokhmah. It goes from bina, hisbainanus process, to where the dance is now led by, more overtly, by the creator as opposed to the created person trying to recognize the creator. And when God shines back, it's a completely different dynamic. Then it's chokhmah, the Abba, that the light of Father. Here it's called Yesod Abba, the ability for Abba, wisdom, to communicate. Because really, Abba is aloof, Father is always aloof, whereas Bina, understanding, is something that's more, it makes a bigger impression because it lasts. It's understanding, it's absorbing. We are entering a time when experience is going to be imposed upon us, much in the way that chokhmah, wisdom, which is associated with re'iyah, vision. Wisdom is going to be imposed upon us. Vision will be imposed upon us. It's called an inspiration that didn't require any effort. The free gift. And that's what Moshe wanted to impart to us. The time to make this happen is tefillah. I'll just want to read one section here. It's beautiful. It's about prayer, the power of prayer. We're learning this about Moshe was praying to get into the land, praying to give this vision that he said, you began to show your servant, talking about himself, and he wanted to impart that vision that God began to show him, because it's just Moshe, to everybody. So that prayer is thematically expressive of this idea. So the ability for wisdom to enter the world, which is typically expressed through Torah, is through prayer. Al Yidei Shispal Tchila, first you have to pray. We actually daven before we go to the study hall. However, Chassidus says there's a type of learning that precedes prayer as it inspires prayer. So we learn Chassidus, welcome, specifically before davening, as we're doing right now as we speak, probably, if you're up this early. Shezeu inyan kumi lecha reyasi. Get up for me, my beloved. But kumi lecha in zeu inyan tefillah. This standing up is prayer. Val yedei ze'achakak tiyeh reyasi, which leads to the impact of prayer is that you become reyasi, my friend. Bechinas lachu lachmu, which is the go dine together, go eat, go break bread. Shehu esek Torah, referring to learning Torah. As is explained on the words, my bird is in the rock, the crag of the rock. Although Torah itself is a gift, and it surpasses anything that you could possibly show of your own devotion and initiative. It's an inspiring, it's a blast of wisdom that you don't understand, and it just has a tremendous impact beyond your ability to say or take credit for. Pischili, rather. Open up for me, my sister, my friend. So God here is calling us his sister, the most selfless relationship, where you cannot marry your sister, so you marry her off as a gesture of grace and affection. So you have your vested interest to do what you cannot do, which is to really unite. There's a fascinating mimer on this by the Tzemach Tzedek on the prohibition of marrying close relatives' sister. As our sages teach, open up for me the eye of a needle, and I will open up for you like the expanse of the sanctuary facade. She'im, which was 20 amas by 40, which is very, very wide. So the sages teach, if you open up for me the dot at the end of the needle, the tiniest amount, like the hole of a needle, kechuda. The eye of the needles, I guess you weave it through, right? We learned that before. Kechuda shomachat, vani eftach lecha kepiska shel ulam. The eye of the needle, or the point. Sometimes I've seen it interpreted also as the point. And I will open up for you the gateway, the entrance to the sanctuary. Although the entranceway did not have doors, it was an open entrance, totally accessible by without obstacle. That is, you're not allowed to go there unless you're the big kahuna. Vehu pasuach tamid. It is always open. The doorway to the sanctuary is always open and gaping wide for welcoming people in there. Shehu Raim Islam Shachas Isruz, which alludes to not what the idea of approaching the sanctuary, but shining from the face. So this is the vision that's imposed, the experience that's imposed. We become engaged when you can see when people are really animated. Some people that are not interested in, for example, here we're talking about davening. They could be very into current events, maybe even worthy of their attention. If they're in the position to do anything about it. Hold the placard at least. Captain Placard. There's a type of inspiration that you don't have to work to get out of your seat when they win the touchdown in the final World Series. I mean, Super Bowl. When they finally do that, you could probably get a touchdown in the World Series. Then you're lit. It's not requiring any getting out of bed, dear teenager. Imagine your teenager saying, "Hi, Mom. I'm up at 6 a.m, ready to. I thought I'd clean out the fridge for you." To be lit is to be shone upon. It's a gift, a free gift. Independent of anything that the creation could possibly have done. So you have to do your part to make yourself a candidate for whether you're going to enter that lottery. You can have a destiny to win a lottery, but if you never buy the ticket, it will probably come out the lottery in a different way. God has his ways of doing things. You don't have to buy a lottery ticket. It's not like an advertisement for lottery tickets when people use that as an example. The idea is that you have to assert yourself as a spiritual journeyer by praying and transforming yourself. When you start to enter that, then you get back in a way that transcends your efforts. That's what we're talking about here. Now that, the pronouncedness, the impact of that is going to increase in time. That's what everyone's talking about, this awakening. This is the awakening, that you have more at your fingertips because people have lost the ball. They took their eye off the ball, and everything is available. Everything is at your fingertips. The Rebbe describes this in Basi Lagania's opening words, inaugural address, saying that the king opens up his coffers that he's never even looked at. Once a year he might bring it out for his son's wedding or something, just to look at it, and then give these to the foot soldier so that they could win the war. Because without I mean, you would presume that they would keep it as something that's treasured, like the king himself would treasure it. It's not lost on the pawn, the foot soldiers. It becomes defining of the archives, the coffers themselves, the treasury itself. It just happens to be, you keep it in your domain. The foot soldier gets to take home the golden eagle. Imagine that. There is a time that there's going to be an inspiration that is so shining that it cannot be ignored. So we're going to come out of the fog of TikTok and enter a world where we're present. And I'm not saying there's any problem doing TikTok when you're waiting for a bus. But if you're waiting for a bus with your child or something, at least be present, at least be available. When the parent shines on the child, that's hard if you have you're in your own world all the time. So there's going to be a time where it's not dependent upon whatever you do below. But here So you can't open up the gateway of the Holy Temple until you first open up. We said before, like the eye of the needle. But here we're saying that you have to open the doors. There are no doors there. So what doors are these? There are doors on our ability to open up the eye of the needle. The smallest speck of our own initiative is a challenge. And you have to do something. You have to open some doors. They're just within and not without. Shayu Kaidim Ha'ulam. And that's represented by the courtyards and the other boundaries. We discussed sometime the 10 levels it was built on. It was structured on a mountaintop with gradations. Shazeu Inyan Isuus Piskali. So that's the inspiration that is extended from on high, which is the request, open up for me. God says, open up for me the eye of the needle. That represents an inspiration. Similar to the baskel, the echoing voice, that every morning there is this opportunity to actually be inspired. So in this way, you arrive at drawing down the divine light through Torah, Shuas Rusa del Ela, which itself is this type of inspiration that is beyond your ability to. It's a trigger that makes you just barely touch the thing, and the lights go on. The result is explosive and spiritual shift in dynamic from effort of devotion through to reward. Matnas Chinam, a free reward, we even described this. So the opening up is established in the time we devote towards prayer. Now, Torah and prayer, they seem like different things. But you have to precede prayer to Torah to represent this idea that you open up the eye of the needle, you enter into a relationship by showing a gesture, and that gesture is met with the promise of infinite and beyond. The depth and the infinite expanse of the capacity for Torah to illuminate in this way, to bring wisdom in the world in a way that's transformative and beyond your wildest imaginations, depends upon your success in prayer, your ability to have das. Moshe wanted to bypass the whole effort thing and simply give the free gift now. We have a Jewish people that came out of already from the smelting pot, scorched from all their experiences. That's enough. History can end here and we could just enter a phase of reward where we just see and have no obstruction, no obscurity. So David says something resembling Moshe's request to have this vision bestowed upon all the Jewish people. David HaMelech, King David, also expressed this, but in terms of Torah. Moshe was praying, and David HaMelech was saying, Gal einai ve'abita niflois ben terasacha. Open my eyes that I should behold wonders in the Torah. So his davening, his presence in his relationship with Hashem, articulating it with words, das, being present. It says actually that if you pray audibly, that inspires you. So it's actually related to expressing emotions. The speech of it itself brings out, it brings attention simply to the emotion that's already present but not stoked. It stokes it and it's lit. V'huinin tefillah, that's prayer. The way that you experience the results of that, in other words, you've done your part. You've opened up the eye of the needle in prayer, and now when you learn Torah, you're going to get a much greater shining of wisdom, and that's described simply, as King David says, I shall see wonders in your Torah. Have a great day.